How do we solve this one? So the first thing you have to do here is to identify the type of sequence you are dealing with. Okay, as usual, you know that there are two types of sequences that you may be given to answer in a question. So you may have what we call geometric progression. Okay, we may have geometric or arithmetic. Okay, so we have geometric and arithmetic progression. Okay, so you need to know how to identify each one of these so that you don't get confused. Okay, so in this case, the question that we have, you need to be able to identify, is it AP or it's GP, which is geometric progression. Okay, so how do we identify the difference? How do we tell the difference? Okay, so the difference, you can tell the difference between these two progressions looking at how you are able to find the common difference. Okay, so looking at the the first one here. Okay, the sequence that we have, we need to identify if this formula here, okay, this one here, let me use this card. Okay, if this formula here, where we subtract the next term minus the first term, and then it gives us everything, or rather the common number, then we can tell that this is arithmetic progression. Okay, what I mean is this: if we subtract here, okay, we subtract -7, okay, we subtract -10 from -7, we get that number which we call R, okay, the common difference. We also subtract -1, from -1 we subtract -4, we still get the same value R, then we call this R the common difference. Okay, and if that agrees, then we can say the sequence that we have is arithmetic progression. Okay, otherwise it's geometric progression. All right, and we'll look at one or two questions concerning geometric progression. So for now, let's use this information available to us. Okay, so in this case, the question says for the sequence -10, -7, -4, -1, and the sequence goes on, find the 17th term. Okay, so before we use any of these formulas here, we need to make sure we are using the right formula. So let's try to calculate the common difference. Okay, suppose we use the second and the first term, that is -7 is our second term, right? We are taking -7 as our A2 minus, open bracket, our A1. Okay, this is our A1 in the formula. Okay, this is our A1. Okay, then this is our A2, so we're subtracting A1 from A2. In this case, -7 is our A2. Okay, our A1 is -10, right? What are we getting? So here we are getting +3 as our R. Okay, let's try the same. Now this time we use the third and the second. So the third term in this, it will be our -4. Okay, subtracting -7 from -4, what are we getting? Okay, so look at what we are getting here. We are also getting 3. Okay, if you use the fourth term, subtracting the third term from the fourth term, it will still give you 3. So 3 is our common difference, right? So we see that we can find our common difference by subtracting the first term minus the second term minus the first term, the third term minus the second term, just like that. Okay, now what does this mean? So this means that this progression that we have, or that the sequence is arithmetic progression. Okay, so how do we find the 17th term? Look at the formula for the nth term, or rather the general formula which you can use to calculate any term that you want in a sequence. Okay, so this is the formula here. Okay, you need to know these formulas. So let's use that one and find the 17th term. Okay, so here now we are answering A. So how do we do that? So we need to use the formula. So where there is n, we are going to substitute with 17, because n stands for the position of that number you are looking for, that term in a sequence. So in this case, we are looking for the 17th term. What value is on position 17 in this sequence? Okay, so we'll use the formula again. A1 represents the first term. So the first term from the sequence is negative 10, right? Now plus, you open your bracket. Now your n is still 17 again. So n here is still the same, excuse me. Minus 1. Our common difference is 3, right? So we still use the same thing there. We have A7, okay? That is 17th term. So we still have negative 10 here, right? Plus, what are we getting here? We are getting 17 minus 1. That will give us 16, right? Yeah. So that one, we are going to get 16. So we're just going to say we have 16 here. Okay, let's go step by step, right? So we have 16 here and 3 outside. So that means we need to multiply 16 by 3, which will give us 48. Okay, so we're having negative 10 here plus 48, right? Okay, now we're having 48 there, which when you subtract here, you are getting 38 as your 17th term. Okay, so if you start counting, when you reach the 17th term, it should be 38. So 38 is the value which you are going to find on the 17th term. Okay, now let's look at B. Okay, so in question B, what are we looking for? In question B, that is here. Okay, question B says the sum of the first 20 terms. Okay, so look at the formula for the sum. It's here, right? So you're just going to substitute here. Your n in this case is 20 because you're looking for the sum of the first 20 terms. Okay, so your n is 20. So we're going to use the same formula. Where there is n, we'll substitute with 20. Our a1 is the first term in the sequence, which is negative 10, and our common difference is 3, which we have found. Okay, so we can do that. So here we have s20, so sum for the first 20 terms. Our n, we are saying our n is 20, right? So that 20 divided by 2, you open your bracket, so you have 2. Now that 2 has to be multiplied by the first term in your sequence, which is negative 10, right? Now this one, you need to add in this case your n is 20, remember? Okay, so again there in the formula you have 20 minus 1, right, multiplied by 3, which is your common difference. Okay, so there 20 divided by 2, you get your 10, right? You get 10, and then negative 10 by 2, you get negative 20, right? Okay, yeah, so you get negative 20 plus 20 minus 1, you have your 19 there. Okay, yes, so you have 19 inside the brackets. Okay, even here. Now this 19 has to be multiplied by 3, so you're multiplying 19 times 3, which will give you 50. Yes, 57, right? Yes, that side you're going to get 57, and then the first part you're going to multiply, that's 10 times negative 20, that will give you negative 200, right? Yes, that will give you negative 200 plus, okay, so negative 200 plus 57, okay, so you are getting that. Yes, so that's negative 200 times 57, that will give you, if we say that's negative 200, right? Now negative 200, we say that one a plus 7, right? I mean plus 57, that will give you negative 143. Negative 143. So if you add all the terms in the sequence, the first 20 terms, what you are going to get is negative 143 is what you'll be able to get. Okay, so that is how we calculate that. Okay, you can go through and make sure we didn't make any mistake. Okay, we can just do that. We look at here, we our n, we said our n is 20 in this case, so here is 20. Okay, we have 20 there. 20 divided by 2, that's 10, right? Now 2 times negative 10, that's negative 20, plus 20 minus 1, that was 19, and 3 there. Okay, we just write it. Now 19 times 3, that was 57, and then 10, that was 10 multiplied by negative 20, right? That was 10 multiplied by negative 20, that gave us negative 200. Now that was negative 200 plus 57, and it gave us negative 143 as the sum for the first 20 terms, right? Okay, so we proceed, we look at these questions here. Okay. The first question is solve the equation. So this equation, now we are not going to start with this one. The reason being is I want us to use some ideas from these questions here. Okay, and factorize the following completely. So we need to factorize each of these questions completely. So let's start with this one here. Okay, how do you factorize? Well, you look for the factor, isn't it? The common factor on both sides of you look for the factor on both sides of the operation. So our operation here is negative, right? So the factor that we have, you can pause the video and try to solve this question, okay, and then compare. So our factor is 1. Okay, now I'll show you why. I just want to write this one so that I can open your mind, so that you'll be able to see. Okay, so the only factor here, okay, the number which is common on both sides of the operand, which is our negative here, or rather the number which can go into x squared and 16 without giving us any remainder, it's 1, right? It's 1 in this case. So 1 divided into x squared, we are going to get x squared, right? Minus 1 into 16, we are going to get 16 again, right? That's how you take it. That's the simple way of taking it or understanding it. What do you do in the second step here? So in the second step, you look at this term. Okay, if you have another term there, okay, we'll look at that in the second example. You need to write this one in index form. Okay, so we just rewrite 1 there. Okay, we are not supposed to show this one because in mathematics it doesn't make sense. Okay, we're not supposed to show it, but I'm showing it so that it can just open your mind. Okay, but you don't need to show it. So there we have x squared minus, writing 16 in index form, we can write that one 16, it can be written as 4 squared, right? It can be written as 4 squared. Now the last step is to write in this what is inside here in different of two squares. Okay, that's what factorizing completely means. So they are writing in different of two squares. We have the first bracket carrying x plus 4. The second one will carry x minus 4. One thing you need to understand is that when you factorize, okay, if you multiply, you should get to it should give you the question that you had. Okay, let's write that. We have x. If we say x times x, you are getting x squared, right? Which is giving us the previous step. Then 4 times 4, positive 4 times negative 4, we are getting negative 4, negative 16, so to say. Now, right, that 16 has been written in index form, which is negative 4 squared. Okay, and from here we see that we are getting to so we can say from here, when we multiply, we are getting there, and then from there we are getting here, and then from here we are going back to the question. Okay, so that's factorization. Now let's use the same knowledge to the second one, that is b. Okay, so we look for the factor here. So what is our factor? So our factor is what in this case? So the factor is just 2, right? We can use 2. We don't have any variable here. Okay, we just have a number, which is 2 in this case, right? Okay, so we open the bracket. Wait, we open the bracket, right? So we have 2 into 20, that will give us 4, that is 4x, right? 4x squared minus 2 into 16, that will give us how many times? Okay, I think the best way is to use, instead of using 2, which will give us 8 here, okay, which will give us 8, and then factorizing for us to get to that one, let's use the simple thing here. Okay, instead of using 2 as our factor, why don't we use 4? Okay, 4 will be easy. So if we use 4 as our factor, 4 into 20 is going to give us 4, right? It is going to give us 4, isn't it? So this one is going to give us 4. Now, what do we get if we get 4? Okay, let's do this.